Armadura. Armadura is a small game that I picked up 1 or 2 years ago at Gen Con or Origins, I don't remember exactly. I know it has been a while, and I know I forgot about it. I forgot that I had it. It's a small game, so it ended up in a pile with other small games and somehow blended into the background. I found it recently again as I was going through my small games before a camping trip, looking for games to bring with me. When we go camping, I like to bring small games with me, small because they're more portable, that way it's easier to carry with me, and simple games that I can play with casual gamers or non-gamers, such as the friends we go camping with are, and also games I can play with kids. So sometimes I play with adults and the kids, sometimes it's just me, my daughters, and the kids or our friends playing together, and the other adults are very grateful so they can, I don't know, make dinner, start the fire, that sort of thing. Armadura seemed to be a game that had all of these qualities. I brought it camping with me, we played it there, we had fun playing it, so I can tell it's a fun game, simple game that yes, you can play with young gamers and non-gamers. The one thing that made it not really ideal for camping is that it has a lot of small pieces, so we were a little wary, a little worried that we may lose some of the pieces. But as far as I can tell, no orcs or wizards were lost in the making of this video, in the playing that preceded this video. In this game, the players control different fantasy groups. You have the orcs, the wizards, the goblins, and the elves. So the game plays to up to 4 players. And these groups, instead of just fighting each other, they are fighting each other, but also they are trying to take control of gold mines, of these groups of gold pieces that you see on the board. The gold pieces are set up in specific spaces and in specific configurations, like a group of 3, 2 groups of 4 at the beginning of the game, but this is done randomly, so you can place the groups in different positions in different games for variety. The game can be played at the basic level or advanced level. We're going to talk about the basic game first. The players have pools of tokens on the back. They're all the same, simply representing a generic individual of their group, a generic wizard, generic orc, and then there is a numerical value written in on the back. Most tokens have a value 1, then you have several 2, and then you have a 3, a 4, and a 5. When it is your turn, you must do one of 2 things, which is either you place one of your units on the board in any empty square, that is a square that doesn't contain golds and does not contain enemy pieces. That's it. I done that. That's my turn. Then my opponent takes a turn. Then I decide to take a turn, and so on and so forth. So one of the things that you can do is to place your own units on the board. Another thing that you can do is to place up to 2 fences on the board. Fences are placed on the edges between the squares that represent the spaces of the game. You do not place them on the outer edge. And what you're trying to do, of course, is to create territories. Territories that include your own pieces and possibly do not include those of the opponents, or at least territories where your pieces represent a higher total than the pieces of the opponent. The minimum size of a territory is 4 squares, so you cannot go under that. And this is the game in essence. You place your own guys face down, you place fences, manipulating the space and creating territories. And you continue like this until all players have passed. The player has passed when the player has no more tokens to play or palisades or fences that can be played. You can also choose to pass if you so wish, but once you pass, you're out of the game. The game continues like this until all players pass, and at that point you reveal all of the tokens, you flip them face up, and in each territory, look at that, in each territory the player that has the highest numerical total is the winner of that territory and grabs all of the gold in that territory. In case there's a tie, like in this case, the player splits the loot as evenly as possible. If there is any queue that cannot be assigned, then it is removed from the game. As simple as that. Reveal, assign the gold. In this case, the orcs have 4, the wizards have 3, then the orcs grab the loot. And at the end of the game, the player with the highest loot, with the most gold, is the winner of the game. This is for the basic game. The advanced game gives each party a special ability. In that game, the parties have power tokens that they can spend. For example, these are the power tokens for the wizards. As you can imagine from the symbol, these tokens allow the wizards to peek at the numerical value of another group, and different groups do different things. The orcs can build fences, the elves can shoot arrows to reduce the numerical value of an opponent, the goblins bring in extra warriors, so there's a bit of variety there. Also, each player in the advanced game has a reinforcement that allows you to add a point to alter the numerical value of a territory by 1. And this is it. This is Armadura. I like it. I like it quite a lot for what it is. A simple game with super simple rules, but with some thinking involved. What I like about games is simple is you teach them in a couple of minutes and you start playing them, and you can see how the opponents, even casual gamers, they start seeing the nuances. They see in different layers. Oh, if I put this and that, look what happens. Oh, if I did that, which seems great, in truth, then my opponent can destroy that by putting fences around my guy. There is some spatial thinking involved here, of course. There is planning ahead, but only up to a certain extent, because the field changes so fast as the opponent places things and as you yourself start adding fences and changing things around. Lately I played a game of this type where you're also creating territories and are trying to score them. This is called Android Mainframe by Fantasy Flight. This game I played after that one, later more recently than that one, but this one came out earlier. But still, the idea is it's a general idea of controlling space. It's not like the two games are really very similar. This one takes less to play. It has less chance. Actually, it has virtually no luck factor in the fact that in the random placement of cubes at the beginning is random, but other than that, and that also affects all players equally. It's really about reading the opponent. It's about figuring out the opponent is bluffing by putting a certain token in a certain area, and figuring out how much you need to counter that. It is about picking choosing your battles, or choosing areas where you think you can prevail, in other areas where you do not want to waste resources because you think it's going to be useless anyways. So it is a game that has a bluffing component, a spatial element, a planning ahead, but only up to a certain extent, because it is so much about reading the opponent and reacting to what the opponent does, because simply a fence put in a position that you did not expect can change the overall organization of the board entirely and can simply force you to rethink your strategy. Then you realize that you put your 5 in an area that now is completely useless and blocked off, or that you wasted a lot of tokens in another area that again is not as profitable, as the opponent managed to actually maybe connect 2 very profitable spaces with gold in a single area, quickly occupied, and you're done. So it is a game that has bluffing, has thinking, and like that. It is very casual because of the simplicity of the rules, but it's not so casual in gameplay, because if you're just playing it as you're chatting, thinking about something else, you're gobbling up your beer and pretzels, maybe then you're likely to make a mistake that can be pretty bad. This is a game that is less forgiving than most casual games are, precisely because you may have spent a lot to take control of some good territories, and then you overlook something and the opponent managed to score 2 profitable mines, and that's it. That one move in which the opponent took control of some good territories offsets the game entirely. All of your good/okay play is completely useless against a single really good move of an opponent. So it is casual, but it does require some thinking. It does require some involvement, and I like that. I like the fact that it's light but not too light. It's light but not too beer and pretzel. when we compare it to, advanced civilization games. It is still in the beer and pretzel category, closer to that one, but not a one without thinking, not one that is too mindless. So to me, actually, it is a soft spot because it is a game that is simple and light to play. I can play with casual gamers. I can play with my daughters, so especially the 6-year-old one. The 4 recently turned 5-year-old one also enjoys it, but she doesn't see the strategy yet. The 5, almost 6, she starts seeing the strategy and she really enjoys it. Playing it with adults and with casual gamers, this is a game that works as a nice, glorified filler. It's more than a simple filler because of the thinking involved, but it's rewarding, it's satisfying. I can play with players that, yes, are stronger than just, they can do more than just playing a filler, but maybe they wouldn't sit down for a whole night to play a long game. So in the category of games that I can play with casual gamers, so this is one that still has enough depth, enough interesting decisions for me to be interesting to play. It's a fun game. By the way, I didn't mention this, but I played the basic version mainly. I like the basic version much better than the advanced one. I don't know that it adds that much to me. It blurs some of the beautiful elegance of the basic game, but it's not like it really weakens the game. I simply don't play it. So if you like it, it's there. If you just want to go for the basic game, which is very simple, linear, and elegant, then the basic game of Armadura is there, and I think it's very enjoyable. At least I enjoyed it. The players, the people that I played it with, which are non-regular gamers, enjoyed it too. Overall, a simple, light game with some thinking and with some hidden depth that emerges after a play or two, but it really gives you enough reasons for interest to enjoy the game. A very enjoyable, simple game. Armadura.